The screen opens on Buckingham Palace's sunlit courtyard, a vibrant mosaic of history and humanity, bathed in the golden glow of a perfect summer morning. Crowds buzz along the iron barriers, their cameras flashing like sparks, capturing the flutter of royal standards against a cloudless azure sky. The Union Jack waving proudly atop its flagpole. The air hums with the chatter of tourists, the clink of coins at vendor stalls selling tiny bearskin hats and Union Jack flags, and the faint scent of warm cobblestones, sunscreen, and freshly brewed coffee drifting from a nearby cart. Cathedral bells chime softly in the distance, their notes a gentle undercurrent to the courtyard's lively rhythm. In this radiant scene, where tradition meets the pulse of the present, a perfect day at Buckingham Palace is about to become a battle for dignity. A moment when a tourist's cruelty pushes too far, and a royal guard makes a choice that will stun the world, proving that compassion can triumph over protocol. If you believe in the power of compassion to change lives, hit subscribe to join our community of story lovers. We uncover moments like this every single day. As the sun climbs higher, one question lingers. What does it take to stand up for someone who can't stand alone? In the heart of the crowd, 9-year-old Oliver Weston sits in his motorized wheelchair, bundled in a navy blue hoodie, a small British flag resting on his lap, its colors vivid against the gray of his chair. His frail body, weakened by a progressive neurological disorder, trembles slightly with the effort of holding himself upright, but his fierce spirit shines through his bright green eyes. Wide with anticipation, his mother, Rachel Weston, a woman in her late 30s with tired but determined eyes, maneuvers his chair through the bustling crowd, her hands steady on the handles, her voice soft as she secures a front row spot along the barrier. "We're here, Ollie," she whispers, brushing a lock of sandy hair from his forehead, her smile a shield against the world's challenges. Oliver, his voice barely above a whisper, grips the flag tighter, his words filled with resolve. "I want to see the real guards, Mom, the ones who protect the king." Across the courtyard, Sergeant Thomas Hale stands motionless at his post, a towering figure in his scarlet tunic, the sun glinting off the polished brass buttons and the imposing bearskin cap that frames his weathered face. Hale is a veteran of 3 combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, his broad frame honed by years of service, his brown eyes sharp with a vigilance forged in the crucible of war, embodying centuries of tradition as a Queen's Guard. Hale's presence is a study in discipline, his rifle held at precisely the right angle, his posture rigid, his face a mask of stoic resolve. A flashback transports us to a dusty outpost in Helmand province, where Hale, his uniform streaked with sand, sprints through a hail of gunfire to pull a wounded comrade to safety, his face set with unyielding determination, his strength a lifeline in chaos. That act earned him a mention in dispatches, a quiet pride he carries beneath his scarlet tunic, a reminder that duty often demands action beyond orders. Now, as a guard, his role is to stand as a symbol of the crown's honor, to remain still under the gaze of thousands. But his instincts, honed in battle, remain alert, scanning the crowd with subtle shifts of focus, ready to detect the unexpected in this sunlit courtyard. The scene is alive with colored tourists in bright hats, children waving flags, a street musician strumming a cheerful tune on a guitar, vendors calling out their wares. But Hale's attention is drawn to Oliver, the boy in the wheelchair, his small frame a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos, his flag a beacon of hope in the crowd. The conflict erupts as a group of loud tourists, led by Trevor Gaines, a bulky man in cargo shorts and a loud Hawaiian shirt, elbows their way closer to the barrier, their voices booming with entitlement. Trevor, his face flushed from the heat, stumbles over a cobblestone, his shoulder jolting Oliver's wheelchair, the impact sending a tremor through the boy's fragile frame. Rachel gasps, her hands flying to steady the chair, her voice shaking but firm. "Please, be careful. My son can't move easily," she pleads, her eyes meeting Trevor's, searching for understanding. Trevor smirks, his voice dripping with disdain. "Should have come earlier." "Love," he says, his words cutting through the crowd's hum, his eyes flicking to Oliver with a cruel glint. He leans closer, his tone mocking, his hand gesturing toward the boy's wheelchair. "Not like you're going to march anytime soon." "Kid," he adds, miming a clumsy wheelchair motion, his laugh harsh and hollow. Oliver's cheeks burn, his green eyes dropping to his lap, his hands tightening around the flag, his spirit bruised by the cruelty. Rachel's voice trembles with anger and pain. "Leave us alone," she says, her words a shield for her son, her hands gripping the chair's handles, her body a barrier between Oliver and the man's malice. The crowd shifts uneasily, their faces a mix of shock and discomfort. An elderly woman in a floral scarf frowns. A young father holding his daughter's hand mutters, "That's not right." Their voices a soft undercurrent of disapproval. Hale, his eyes fixed forward as protocol demands, registers every detail. Oliver's trembling hands, the flush of shame on his cheeks, the fallen flag now teetering on the edge of his lap. Trevor's sneer as he towers over the boy, his cruelty a stain on the courtyard's brightness. Rachel's plea echoes in Hale's mind, her voice a call to the father within him, a man who once promised his own sister to protect the vulnerable, a vow made after a childhood of watching her struggle with illness. His training screams to stay still, to uphold the centuries-old tradition of the Queen's Guard. But his instincts, forged in the heat of battle, roar louder, urging him to act, to defend a boy whose dignity is under attack. The tension escalates as Trevor, emboldened by the crowd's hesitation, shoves Oliver's wheelchair again, this time deliberately, the force knocking the small British flag to the cobblestones, its colors stark against the grey stone. "Oops," Trevor says, his smirk widening, his hands raised in mock apology as he blocks Oliver's view of the guards, posing for a selfie with his group, his bulk casting a shadow over the boy. The crowd murmurs grow louder, their unease coalescing into action. An elderly man in a flat cap steps forward, his voice firm. "That's enough, Mate," he says, his wife nodding beside him, her scarf fluttering in the breeze. A young woman, her phone poised to record, gasps, "He's bullying a kid," her voice carrying across the courtyard, drawing more eyes to the scene. Trevor, undeterred, reaches to ruffle Oliver's hair, his hand looming over the boy's head, his laugh a taunt. Rachel slaps his hand away, her voice rising, sharp with defiance. "Don't touch my son," she snaps, her eyes blazing, her body trembling with protective fury. Hale's senses sharpen, his heart pounding, his training warring with a deeper call to action. He sees Oliver's hands trembling, the boy's eyes glistening with unshed tears. The fallen flag, a symbol of his stolen joy. He sees Rachel's courage, her love for her son, a force that mirrors the bravery he's witnessed in war. He sees Trevor's sneer, the man's cruelty, a violation of the courtyard's sanctity, a challenge to the honor Hale has sworn to uphold. The crowd's murmurs grow into a chorus, their faces a gallery of outrage and empathy. A mother clutches her child closer. A teenager lowers his camera, his expression somber. A vendor pauses his sales, his eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. Hale's instincts, honed by years of protecting others, override the protocol that binds him. His decision made in a heartbeat, his heart roaring that dignity is worth more than tradition. The climax erupts as Hale breaks formation, his boots hammering the cobblestones, each step a thunderclap that silences the courtyard. The crowd gasping, their phones dropping as they turn to witness the unprecedented breach. His scarlet tunic blazes in the sunlight, his bearskin cap steady, his rifle angled across his chest, a symbol of authority, as he closes the distance to Trevor in long, purposeful strides. He slams the rifle butt into the ground. The resonant crack echoing like a gunshot, a sound that freezes the scene. Trevor's smirk vanishing, his bravado replaced by fear. Step back. Now, Hale commands, his voice iron, deep and unyielding, carrying the weight of his combat experience. His brown eyes locking onto Trevor's, his presence. A wall of resolve. Trevor stumbles back, his hands raised, his face paling, his voice weak. I was just joking. Mate. He stammers, his group shrinking behind him. Their laughter silenced by Hale's authority. Palace security. Their navy uniforms cutting through the crowd. Sees Trevor, escorting him away as he protests weakly. His cargo shorts sagging, his defiance crumbling under the weight of his actions. The courtyard holds its breath, the sun casting long shadows, the royal standards fluttering above. The crowd's face is a mix of awe and relief. Hale kneels before Oliver, his scarlet tunic vivid against the cobblestones, his hands gentle as he retrieves the fallen flag, dusting it off with care, its colors bright in his gloved hands. You drop this, sir, he says, his voice soft but resonant, his use of sir a deliberate gift of respect. His brown eyes meeting Oliver's, offering a moment of dignity to a boy who has endured cruelty. Oliver grips the flag tightly, his green eyes shining with tears of gratitude, his small hands trembling but steady, his spirit lifted by the guard's gesture. Hale rises, his movements precise, and salutes Oliver a powerful, deliberate gesture, the crisp motion of a soldier honoring a warrior, a recognition of the boy's courage in the face of adversity. The crowd erupts in applause, the sound swelling like a wave, tears glistening in strangers' eyes, their hands clapping in unison, a tribute to a guard who moved, to a boy who endured, to a mother whose love held strong. Rachel, her face streaked with tears, reaches for Hale's hand, her voice breaking. Thank you, she whispers, her eyes meeting his, her gratitude. A force that binds them in that moment. The elderly couple, their faces lit with pride, clap louder, the woman's scarf fluttering as she nods, her voice soft. God bless you, young man. The young woman with the phone, her video now capturing the salute, wipes her eyes, her voice trembling. This is what heroes do. The vendor, his cart still steaming, raises a fist in solidarity, his voice rough but warm. Good on ya, Sergeant. The father with his daughter, his camera now lowered, hugs his child closer, his whisper to her a lesson in kindness. The street musician pauses his tune, his guitar silent, his applause joining the crowds, his head tipped to Hale. Security, their faces professional but softened, nod to Hale as they lead Trevor away, their radios crackling with reports of the incident. Their respect for the guard unspoken but clear. The resolution unfolds as the courtyard, once charged with tension, settles into a warm reverence. The sun climbing higher, the royal standards fluttering proudly, the bells chiming softly in the distance. Captain Edward Ellis, Hale's commanding officer, summons him to a quiet corner of the palace, the marble corridors cool and echoing. The walls lined with portraits of monarchs who seem to approve. Ellis, his face stern but his grey eyes warm, dismisses Hale without reprimand, his voice resonant. You did what any decent man should. Thomas, he says, his hand resting briefly on Hale's shoulder, a rare gesture of camaraderie. The crown's honor is in its humanity, not just its rules. Go home tonight, knowing you made a difference. Hale nods, his throat tight, his thoughts on Oliver, on Rachel, on the vow he made in Helmand to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That evening, in his modest London flat, Hale finds a note slipped under his door, written in Rachel's careful hand, the paper folded around a small drawing by Oliver. A scarlet guard with a bearskin hat, a boy in a wheelchair waving a flag. The words "My hero" scrawled in green crayon. The note reads, "You showed my son courage wears red. You gave him back his pride, and me my hope. Thank you, Sergeant Hale. Hale tucks the drawing into his wallet, next to a faded photo of his sister. Her smile, a reminder of why he acts. A talisman for the days ahead. He sits by his window, the city lights twinkling, his scarlet tunic hanging in the closet, his heart full. The applause of the courtyard still echoing in his mind. Months later, Oliver returns to the palace, his wheelchair now adorned with a new flag, his navy hoodie bright in the autumn sun, his green eyes shining with a newfound confidence. Rachel pushes him to the barrier, her smile radiant, her hand resting on his shoulder, her pride in her son, a quiet force. The courtyard is alive with new tourists, their cameras flashing, but Oliver's focus is on the guards, his flag raised high, a beacon of his resilience. Hale, at his post, spots the boy, his scarlet tunic as vivid as ever, his bearskin cap steady. He meets Oliver's gaze, his brown eyes softening, and taps his chest twice. A silent salute, a gesture of respect that bridges the months, a bond forged in a moment of courage. Oliver grins, waving his flag, his voice stronger now. That's my guard, Mom. Rachel wipes a tear, her nod to Hale, a thank you that needs no words. The story of that sunlit morning becomes a beacon of hope, shared across news outlets and social media. A viral video capturing Hale's march, the crack of his rifle butt, the salute to Oliver, the crowd's applause, a symphony of humanity. Headlines praise the guard who stood for dignity, framing Hale's act as a lesson in compassion, a reminder that rules matter, but humanity matters more. News anchors recount the story with reverence, their voices thick with emotion, while online forums buzz with praise for the guard who moved, for the boy whose spirit endured, for the mother whose love held fast. The video, shared millions of times, shows Hale's scarlet tunic blazing across the courtyard. Oliver's flag raised high, the crowd's tears and applause, a testament to a moment that transcends borders, uniting viewers in awe of a guard who chose dignity over protocol. At a private ceremony in Buckingham Palace's ballroom, Hale stands before Colonel Sir William Tate, his scarlet tunic gleaming under chandeliers, the air rich with the scent of polished wood and roses. Tate, his face stern but warm, pins a commendation to Hale's chest, the Queen's Guard Medal for exceptional service, a rare honor for acts that uphold the Crown's values in extraordinary ways. You show the world what our uniform stands for, Sergeant, Tate says, his voice resonant, his eyes meeting Hale's with pride. You honor the crown by honoring a boy's dignity. Hale's brown eyes glisten, his thoughts on Oliver, on Rachel, on the sister whose memory drives him, his salute steady, his heart full. The weight of the medal, a reminder of the choice he made. The aftermath ripples through the lives touched by that morning. Trevor, escorted from the palace, faces public shaming, his actions condemned online, his group distancing themselves, their vacation marred by his cruelty. The elderly couple, back in their Devon village, share the story with their church, their voices warm with pride, their photos of the day, a cherished memory. The young woman with the phone, now a local journalist, writes an article about Hale's act, her words a tribute to compassion, her video a catalyst for discussions on bullying and disability rights. The vendor, his cart now adorned with a small flag like Oliver's, tells customers of the guard who stood up, his coffee sales booming as tourists seek him out. The father, with his daughter, now teaching her to stand up for others, shares the story at her school, his voice thick with emotion. His lesson, one of kindness. Oliver, his confidence growing, joins a local disability advocacy group, his voice stronger, his flag a symbol of his resilience, his story inspiring other children to speak out. Rachel, her hope restored, writes to Hale monthly, updating him on Oliver's progress, her letters a bridge between their lives, her gratitude a constant light. Hale, unchanged by the attention, continues his duties. His scarlet tunic, a familiar sight in the courtyard. His bearskin cap steady. His rifle, a vow to protect. His comrades, once reserved, now greet him with quiet nods. Their respect, unspoken but profound. Their shared glances, a recognition of his heart. In the barracks, he shares Oliver's story with younger recruits, his voice steady, his brown eyes bright, urging them to see the people behind the protocol, to act when dignity is at stake. The palace, with its sunlit stones and royal standards, stands as it always has, a witness to countless moments of courage, its honor upheld by a guard who moved when cruelty demanded action, who saluted a boy and restored his pride. Hale's thoughts linger on Oliver, on Rachel, on the vow he made to his sister, on the lesson that rules are a framework, but humanity is the foundation. The story of that perfect summer morning is a parable of compassion, a testament to the power of a single act to defend dignity, to remind us that honor is not in standing still, but in moving when a child's spirit is at stake. Sergeant Thomas Hale, with his soldier's instincts and human heart, proved that rules matter, but humanity matters more. That a boy's flag can call forth a hero, that a salute can change a life. Rules matter, but humanity matters more. What does compassion mean to you? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to act against expectations to protect someone's dignity? Where a quiet injustice demanded your courage? Share your story in the comments below. Tell us about the choices that defined your honor, the moments that tested your resolve, the lessons that linger like a flag in a child's hands. If you're inspired by stories like Thomas Hale's and Oliver Weston's stories of courage, dignity, and the power of compassion to triumph over cruelty, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Join our community of story lovers for more tales that uplift, that challenge, that remind us of the strength within us all every single day.